Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and today I'm going to be focusing on this strange slice of the city, this gap in between two tables, where I'm going to be building the River Trent, which is the river of my city that will drain into Brick Bay, the standing hole that I'm standing in now. And it's going to be quite full of features because it's going to have an underground level, roughly where those large rock monsters are, a kind of undersea level, well, under river level, I suppose, with an underwater cross section, and then, wow, a plethora of bridges linking two halves of my city together. So yeah, it's going to be quite complicated, but I better do it all now before I build much more and I won't be able to squeeze it in. So yeah, this is an urgent project. Let's go! Alrighty, well, my top priority for this whole section is getting the new Major Oak Hill built into this great big black area here. It's going to be rather spectacular, I think, receiving the drawbridge from our lovely castle and also going down to the old town with all those ramp pieces, loads of ramparts and city walls and loads of medieval buildings and stuff like that. So sounds absolutely scrummy if you ask me, but it will be built on top of the edges of the river, both on this side and on that side. So essentially, yeah, although I want to get on with that project straight away, I think this one needs to be done first. So yeah, it's not one that I was entirely looking forward to because, well, it's going to be complicated because it's squeezed into this very narrow gap. But I think it'll be absolutely amazing when it's done because from absolutely everywhere, or at least from this perspective, you'll be able to see all the different facets going on. So as I mentioned before, we're going to have an underground level, which won't have these two big bad boys in it. I think I'll be saving those for the bigger underground level right along the front of the room. But I think I will do some rock monsters in it. And that'll be a cross section, much like my Turtles one, but lower down, right, subterranean level. Then I want to have the cross section of the river kind of here, like a U shape with loads of fish in it and stuff like that. Maybe somebody on the banks with a fishing rod. And that essentially will pop out at the same sort of sea level as I've got here for Brick Bay. So you can kind of roughly work out that's going to be. And it'll also dovetail at the surface. So the surface of the water will be about here where we've got our crocodile cross section with that sewer kind of pouring into it. So yeah, it should be totally seamless with this edge and the underground here, all here, all here, and then with the subway station kind of on this side as well. So yeah, lots of things to kind of dovetail it with. This white pillar is just temporary, incidentally. And then the river will go all the way here, being tiled and flat and blue and lovely, all at different levels. I think it'll have sort of little cascades going all the way down it to make it a bit more interesting. And then we've got all of the crossings across it as well. So I think I'm going to be making this in several stages. And then kind of joining them all together because they'll all need supporting from underneath using some sort of kind of legs like I've been using to support my tables and stuff like that in there, and maybe some actual Lego supports of different types as well, who knows. So it all fits in place and is stable, that's the main thing. So yeah, so the first stage, well, let's say stage 0 is right up here with our first crossing being the drawbridge. I don't think we'll be dealing with that today, and that'll probably need lengthening in due course so it can reach the other side. So stage 0 we'll leave as is, but stage 1 is the rail crossings. We've got 2 of them side by side, so we have to remember the spacing for those so we can get 2 kind of shallow bridges. Now they're the furthest away, so we have to have those probably in the least detail. They don't have to be that ornate or anything, but that's going to be on sort of one section of flat river. Then I figure we'll have a waterfall, roughly where the water wheel is, and I think I'm going to make the water wheel a bit bigger. Again, probably not today, but it looks a bit puny at the moment, and you see that it wouldn't really dip into a river any deeper than about there. So if I'm going to do a much bigger one, it will need to dip down to about there, I think, and be much more interesting. And that will touch that waterfall section. So I think that's sort of stage 2. Then stage 3 is another bridge, much wider, of course, this time for our road. And that will continue from the Dragon Tower across to the side of the city that we've done most of so far. So that'll be good. So that's sort of step 3. And then stage 4, I think, will just be the next sort of flat section here all the way to our cut-off area, which will have a pedestrian bridge continuing on from the Dragon Gate to what will be another pavement sort of over here. And yeah, once I've built that, I'll be able to build that, won't I? So yeah, it really helps me with the progress of the city. So yeah, stage 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then stage 5 will be the under river scene, and then stage 6 will be the underground scene. So yeah, 6 sections, kind of done separately, but then all joined together into a very probably insecure section, which then I can try and support with a combination of table cut-offs and shelves and things like that, and little feet and all the rest of it. So that is our plan, and all the while it has to avoid the underground track as well, because that still needs to keep running with our lovely subway train on as per usual. So yeah, a lot to do. Probably won't get through all that today, but I think I'm going to start at the kind of wall and work back. So we'll start with stage 1, 2, 3, see how far we get today. So that is that. Right, while we're here, what else have I done? I have done our lovely max 9 metre sign on the monorail track there, just above the road, which I think was a really nice detail. So I'm using some of those 1x2 tiles with these stripes, hazard stripes on, the 1x8 with that sticker that I removed after getting a few of them, and they were based on these lovely stanchion pieces. So I've got a few more. So just take that off using my patented hot tea technique and make these. So I'm going to have that every time I've got a crossing over the road, I think. So I've got 4 of them in total, so that's really good. What else did I do that I haven't shown you? I've added small plants to the back of our museum. It was looking very bare last time. So essentially I've got a sort of climbing rose with the red rose pieces and with the yellow rose pieces and slightly different foliage, and the birch books birch tree all there, which will be behind the platform number 1. So that looks really good. And incidentally, I've just finished my birthday present, which was the lovely big Ninjago markets set. Yeah, I've got to remember which one's which. Very fun build, very interesting features, and yeah, it was very technical as well. So I really enjoyed that. You'll have to let me know if you want me to do videos on all of the individual Ninjago sets, because I've been building them one by one, kind of privately in a way. And they are rather fantastic, but I figure there's probably about 3,000 videos on each of them on YouTube already, so you probably don't need to hear my views on it. And we're going to do something spectacular with the Ninjago set soon, which will sort of start off my Ninjago area, which will be on these chests of drawers. So you can see we've got the original Ninjago city, we've got the docks, we've got the gardens, and we've got the temple over there. So we've got absolutely loads of Ninjago sets, and what I'm going to be doing as my project will tie it all together, and there'll be plenty of space for me to do my old ones as well, and that will kind of represent a foreign city, probably across the time as well as distance, and it'll be kind of with flying cars and a bit dystopian and a bit sort of fun, very big contrast to where we are now. And I just figure it's a foreign land basically, so yeah, we can look at it in the distance when we're in the city, brick Nottingham, and yeah, see the contrast over there. So that is going to absolutely fill that area that I was using to stage all of my builds on and sort of use as a workspace. But yeah, it will be completely covered, meaning I'm boxing myself into more of a corner. But anyway, so if you want reviews of those sets, you have to let me know. But pretty soon we're going to be doing the thing that's going to tie it all together, that's going to look rather fantastic, if you ask me. So yeah, I'll definitely be showing you all of that. So yeah, right, where were we? Yes, we were doing the river, weren't we, after all that? So I'm going to go to the build desk and we'll get on with, yeah, stage 1. Good. Well, fresh from the old Lego room is the old River Trent, which I'll be taking apart and reusing all of the pieces from. But I thought I'd show you it just because it's sort of got a similar vibe for what we're going for, albeit much smaller and, well, less well done. Yeah, we'll be doing a similar overlapping of base plates in blue to represent all the different levels, but this time I'm going to be doing much greater height changes, I think, as we go along the river. This had very basic sort of changes in level with some little waterfalls. There's absolutely no tiles or anything like that. We'll have to do that in a new one so it matches up with all of my C sections and brick bay sections and so on. And this one's much narrower as well, with the gap only being 8 studs wide, whereas the new Lego room allows us to have 16 studs, so literally twice the width, probably twice the height change, if not more, and yeah, much more detail. Now, it's unavoidable that it would also be rigidly straight like the old one, but I figure, you know, rivers in cities are often sort of got embankments on both sides and been very much tamed, so that it's not like they're sort of countryside rivers that are winding along. They've been channeled into a much more manageable sort of slot. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad move, but yeah, I hope to have a lot of the similar features, like maybe some of the graffiti and, well, a better bridge than that. That was the old footbridge there. So yeah, everything should be improved. Tiles, better waterfalls, better height changes, better width. Yeah, everything better than it was before. Right, I'm going to break this up and we can make a start. Okay, well, this is stage one with our first base plate, and this is where the wall of the Lego room would be. And I've counted in the right number of studs so we can have our two rail bridges in the right place. And I've used olive green for the very bottom layer that will be partially concealed by the tiles of the river itself, to represent that sort of slime level that we've got all around the marina as well, plant life growing up the bottom of the bridges. And I'm not going to do this whole section in too much detail because it's so far back and kind of in shadow of the great big castle and everything else that's going to be there. You're not going to see it too much. So I just want a few features to really pop in the distance, but otherwise I'm just going to plow on with a relatively basic span across the river with these really big arch pieces that are very nice indeed. But I do want some features to pop, so what I thought I'd do is add some statuary with these kind of micro figures in gold, a really good contrast colour. And I just thought, you know, old bridges always have some sort of detail on. They didn't you know, mess around. They had everything being beautiful, and I figured that would look rather good. And if I also add one of these gold sort of tooth pieces for a bit of decoration that somebody sent me, so that's another nice feature that I had, I can make it very interesting indeed with another little feature being an arch kind of over the statue's head. So I think he looks rather happy in there, and I can do the same on the other side. And then, yeah, it's a very simple bridge, but it looks quite nice. And then because I've got this 1x8 gap in there, and I've also got some of these in this, what would this be, medium nougat colour, I thought I'd just put that in for a bit of contrast as well. So on the back side of the bridge, well, we're never going to see that, so I'm not going to waste good quality bricks on doing the same thing on the back. I'm just going to fill that in with regular pieces. And then these are all stained. They are grey, but they're all stained and a bit nasty, but that's fine because they're going to be going inside here and you can barely see them. I was thinking of using yellow or something, but there is a certain angle where you'd be able to see the bright yellow or something. So yeah, I figured it'd be much better to enclose it with at least an approximately right colour. And then we'll have the exact same thing for the second one as well. Plain on the back side again, more sort of stained old grey bricks in there, all useful. And then we can essentially put on a 6x16 plate onto the top of each, and then we can have our track sections on top of that, which I can add on either the usual ballast system, which I don't think I will do because I think it'd be slightly different, wouldn't it, or a sort of similar one which will just use sort of tiles, or I don't know what. I'm going to probably worry about that when they're in position, but essentially I figure that looks rather good. So this will all be built into the rock face and will be super strong, but those are my basic starter bridges for the rail section, stage one. So yeah, I'm going to now use loads of these sort of big slopes and stuff to make some very straight sort of edges, and then probably add in a bit of detail with maybe a frog, lily pad, maybe the odd sort of rock in the middle of the stream or something like that. And then, yeah, I think that'll probably do for that section. Maybe I'll be able to fit in some graffiti as well. Not sure. Yeah, so there are our first bridges. Hey, how about that? That looks rather swish for some simple bridges, if you ask me. Wow, miles better than the original one in old brick Nottingham. That looks absolutely amazing. Absolutely love the reflection off the water level there with all the tiles in the distance underneath all of that. And yeah, all of the details really pop. I tried to make it really look its best from this angle here, because essentially we're going to be looking down at it from above, and slightly probably to the right. So when I place, for example, the rock in the middle of the water there, I put it where you'd be able to see it from this perspective rather than say here where you won't be able to see it at all. So we've got our frog and one lily pad and also another lily pad right against the wall. So hopefully if you look a bit higher, you'll be able to see that popping against that blue. And the sides are very straight. But I don't think it really matters, again, when looking at this perspective, partially because it'll be in the distance to a degree, but partially because, well, one bridge almost stops and the other one starts, so you don't really notice the sides so much. So I've just put a bit of colour change in it to make it a bit more interesting and a bit more sort of shape changes here and there. But yeah, when it's dovetailed up with Major Oak Hill and the castle, it'll be quite a sort of narrow cross-section we're looking at. But all of my little features really pop and look rather fantastic. So I'm very happy with that. Two simple bridges done very well with only a decision on the sort of top tiles, which I think I'll just use loads of 2x4 light bluish grey ones at the two levels. So it'll be kind of like in my central station. So that is stage one done, in my opinion. It wasn't deep enough to consider putting the graffiti on yet, but that will change when we move on to stage 2 and 3. In that stage 2 is going to be the waterfall, because we're going to have that water wheel. It's about here at the moment and about that big. I want to have it much bigger and maybe a bit more towards the left, and then that will hit either the waterfall or the next level down, which will be rushing down the stream, powering that old sort of steam hammer type thing for doing its work in the blacksmith shop. So yeah, that's what we're going to do next. And the main piece that all that's based on, that's been used in all sorts of sets like, you know, Ninjago ones and Monkey Kid ones, is this. Because you haven't got many options when you're using Translight Blue to transition in a smooth way that looks kind of tiley and watery. So this, I think, is a great option. Now, I've got a target height that I'm, well, starting at and also ending at, which is the sea level of Brick Bay. So I can't use this full height of a massive waterfall to get down from one level to the next. So I figure I'm going to bury some of it within this sort of structure and just have that first top curved bit to represent, well, a smaller waterfall. And given that my width is 16, I can have 4 of these, but instead I think I'm going to use 3 of them and kind of have gaps in between them for some sort of rocks that are jutting up. If you think about a big sort of waterfall like Niagara Falls or something, it's not just one continuous band, though Niagara might be a bad example. There's sort of rocks in between sort of one fall and then the next fall, you know, making up the whole thing. So I reckon if I have 3 of these spanning 12 of the cross section, and that'll leave me with 4 studs for sort of rocks in between, I think it'll look really good. So essentially that will be at that level. And then the next plate will probably start where my thumb is, and it'll look a bit like that. So the next section really is kind of a 3D block that will take all of this in, but you'll only be able to see the top section of. So don't know if that makes sense. It will soon when you see it. But let's get building with, yeah, 3 of these. Where's the third one? Well, here's stage 2. And I'm quite enjoying building this river, actually. I thought it'd be a bit of a chore, a bit of a necessary step before I did something a lot more fun. But yeah, it's really quite good, actually. So this bit is going just below the bit we did earlier. So yeah, that's going to basically be at the same level as that. Then cascade over this blue section, which has got those curved bricks at the top of it that I used last time, and the rest of it blue, because you are able to see through those trans panels, of course. So we do need to have the right sort of appropriate colour underneath. Then we've got the rocks coming in a little bit from one side, some in the middle and some on the other side, to kind of separate the panel pieces that will then go in. So it's almost tempted to do something like a sort of Easter egg underneath the waterfall in a way, but I don't know. I don't know if you're even going to be able to see it. But anyway, so that looks pretty good, nice and shiny. It'll fit with the tiles. I need to add more tiles in here to link the 2 sections together, but I've got more rocks, and I figure the darker bit is sort of where it's wet and the lighter bit is where it's a bit more dry. And yeah, there is our waterfall. But we're also going to have the water level coming in about here, I think. So you see I'm cropping off the bottom bit, so that'll just be buried underneath my tables essentially, and when this is tiled it'll just continue the river on like that. So it's a nice little sort of waterfall in a row. It's a bit linear, everything's a bit linear around here, but again I don't think that's going to be a big problem. And then we'll build that side up and build the 2 joins together so we can join section 1 to section 2. But yeah, I really like the effect of this thing. Yeah, I think it's quite a clever technique to use a piece that isn't absolutely perfect. As it started out, we've got a few ridges on here. Maybe we'll have a salmon leaping majestically upstream for their sort of mating. So yeah, that looks pretty good if you ask me. Tell me what you think. Wow. The thing I'm enjoying about doing the city this second time is just doing everything a lot better and it just looking a lot more impressive than before. Because I kind of cut corners for cost and for time before, but this time I'm just doing everything a bit more right. And that looks a bit more right to me. Absolutely lovely. Section 1 joined onto section 2. And you can see I've made some feet for it, so I'll have kind of a shelf or something like that in amongst all the other tables. Yeah, it's going to be an absolute nightmare to install, but hopefully with some windy feet I'll get it all at the right levels and so on. But the bit you'll see looks very nice indeed, and that little waterfall has worked absolutely perfectly. I really like this sort of bit here that's breaking up the two streams. I think that's my favourite bit, and I've just used loads of cheese wedge pieces here to represent the choppy water underneath that water wheel. I don't know exactly how that's going to fit, or if I'm going to have to modify the building greatly to accommodate it, or whether I'll just have a separate kind of water wheel with a band pulley or something like that to sort of make the blacksmith's hammer still move up and down. That's the ideal scenario anyway. But yeah, that detail from the rail bridges, yeah, this is looking really good. And it's all going to be shoved right back against the wall, and you'll not really be able to appreciate it when it's in position, perhaps, which is why I've still left out these graffiti pieces. I just don't think you'll be able to see them. But I do very much like what I've done. So yeah, I've enjoyed it at the very least. So I think for the next section, which is going to be the road bridge, I'm going to, well, not attach it to this one, otherwise it'd be far too unwieldy to see. So I'll put this to one side and we can start with that. So I'm going to use a couple of 8 by 16 tiles in dark bluish grey to marry up with the road. Obviously the bridge is going to be the same width and connect to that dragon tower, because that is, well, the gatehouse for this bridge. I was thinking of having more statuary along it, kind of like the Charles Bridge, because that's what that bridge is based on in Prague. And that bridge has some really interesting sort of angled pieces around each of its stanchions as they go in the water. And I think they're for ice breaking effectively. So if a great big ice flow comes up the river, it sort of hits a point and gets split and goes under the bridge rather than building up loads of pressure and smashing the bridge to pieces. So I think I'm going to go for some sort of pointy bits on the stanchions that will go into the water. And then, well, I don't know about the statues all the way along the top. If I have loads of minifigures sort of in grey along here, then it's going to make it really, really congested, and you'll just spoil the view of what we've done already. Maybe I'll save that idea for doing elsewhere. But yeah, this one, I think I'll definitely have a sort of foot in the middle and make it out of smaller arches instead. And obviously it will be a lot deeper because of having that double roadway sort of width. So yeah, I'll put this to one side and I'll grab the other base plate and we'll make a start on the road bridge. But I'm very happy with how things have gone so far. Alrighty, River Stage 3 and our road bridge. And again, I've been to the Lego room to carefully measure out exactly where this road bridge is going to start. So it's essentially from about there to about there on this base plate. And that edge will marry up with the bottom of the section that we just did for stage 1 and 2 combined. So there we go. And like I said, I'm going to do a double arch for this one, mainly for a contrast for the railway bridges earlier, but also so I can have one of these icebreaker type middle sections. And I was looking at all the different pieces I could use, but I settled on these ones, which are perfect. I'm going to do some studs on the side to effectively put them end to end, or base to base, I suppose, really, like that, to act as that shape for an icebreaker, and that will make up the front of that middle stanchion. And then on the sides we can kind of have a half one. On the original Charles Bridge there's many arches, so they've all got one after the other, but we haven't got space for that, so we've kind of got one icebreaker and 2 half ones instead. So yeah, that'll have to do. So for the main stanchion, it has to be a bit complicated to get those studs on the side. So I've first of all got some brackets, which I'll add to that level. I'm going to have to obviously tile all of this with the water tiles as well, but yeah, I can continue that pillar up a little higher there, and then add a 2x4 brick with some of these round plates on just to give it a bit more interest on that level. So there is our central stanchion. Yeah, looking good. And then on top of that, I'm going to add some similar gold sort of bits that are going to pick up the light and add a bit of interest. And because I had those teeth and they kind of look good on the other one, I thought I'd continue that on. It won't be the main feature of this bridge, but you get the idea. So that's looking pretty good. So then for these bits, we're going to have to move to studs on the side, and I'm going to make some setups to accommodate these. And essentially they're curved slopes, tile, plate, and another slope just to bring it up a little bit higher. So one of those setups essentially will attach onto that just above the tiles and look like that. So if I do one on the other side as well, like that, and attach that onto there, then they will be end to end. That took a while to get the spacing right, but you get the idea. So I think that looks A, cool, B, ornate, and C, ice friendly, or ice attacking. So that looks really good. So we can do a very similar but sort of smaller, well, half version, I suppose, for each of the sides. So we'll have that one over there, and that would have which one? One of these. There we go, like that. And then we can have the other one on the other side. So that'll go back there and have that one. And then you've got the lovely repeating pattern that I wanted that looks absolutely lovely, if you ask me. And we can link those sections together with our arches. And the thing is here that gives it another good contrast to the earlier bridges. We're much taller now. We're much higher above the water level because of that change in height, but with the waterfall. So it's really interesting that that simple bridge is going to be very near to this one. In a way, it's going to be about there, I suppose, but it'll be quite a contrast between them. So that is very nice indeed. Then in the middle, I'm going to add this to attach some detail to, and then on the back of that, just something to help support the car deck. So there we go, like that. So the decor that I'm going to have is just some simple tiles. So we've got the half circle, or rather quarter circle ones, and then two in the middle to make a half circle. A bit more shape and interest, kind of going the opposite way to the arches on the spans. That's pretty interesting, and that can go onto there. I think that looks pretty ornate, but one more bit of ornateness, I figure, can go into that X there. And I was looking through all my bits, and I didn't buy these, but somebody sent them through, so thanks for that. And I've got two of them, so one for each side. It's the sort of Quidditch ball flying thing. Yes, one of those. Don't know what it is, but it's that. And I've got two of them, and I just thought it looked really nice. And it's in gold, so it'll go really well. And I figured if I just sort of put that into there, then, well, what is it? It's ornate. It looks very appropriate. So I'm very happy with that indeed. So what we need to do next is replicate this. And I am going to do the full caboodle on the other side, basically, because I figure you will be able to peer over that far and maybe see the back of it. Maybe not, but it's definitely possible. So yeah, if I'm going to do this properly, then I'm going to have to do the same thing on both sides. And then I'm going to have in the middle, I've got loads of black plates. Rather than use those sort of stained bricks again, I was going to put some black panels in here just to close it off, basically. But I got these and they're a bit cheaper, and I thought they added a bit of texture as well. So when you've got, I think it'll be 3 on each side, so 6, you got them into the darkness of the under table sort of cavity. I think that's got a really nice, interesting kind of, well, profile. If you do peer in and see that, it looks very bridgy, if you ask me. So I like that. And I figure I'll have kind of a rat running along here. I think I've got a glow in the dark one somewhere. I have to try and find that. Hopefully it'll get enough light to glow. And then when we've got the exact same as this here and 6 of these, 3 on each side there, then we should be able to add the road deck. And, well, before I go too much further, I better do the tiling as well, because I have to pull it off to get the tiles underneath all of these legs. But I just really like that. Inspired by Charles Bridge, those sort of pointy bits. They look proper medieval, and it'll fit really well with our lovely dragon tower that is going to be, well, about here. So very happy with that. I shall continue with the second side. Well, I guess with the Dragon Gate and the Dragon Tower, this must be the Dragon Bridge. But it looks absolutely amazing, despite having no dragons on it. I absolutely love it. When it's covered up, I think all of this is going to be a lot darker. Uh, Maybe you won't see any of the detail underneath. That's why I haven't bothered with any sort of rocks or lily pads. Though I have got that glow-in-the-dark rat in there, and you can start to see it glowing already. Whoop. Yeah, that is pretty cool if you ask me. Now, these bits sticking under the sides are going to be underneath the overhanging base plates. They'll kind of support that to a degree. And then we'll have the two sides being held together by the deck and everything else. So I think that will look really good. And I've started to get some olive siding here that will dovetail with the next bit as well to represent more river slime. And we've got those ledges on the inside there to represent the sort of bit you could walk under if you were a troll. I was almost tempted to buy a troll and stick it under the bridge. Somebody's living there. I suppose we still could. And there's the second side, looking exactly the same, but very impressive indeed. I absolutely love that. So yeah, I still need to do this section with more tiles, but you get the idea. And I'll have to do the sides as well that link it up with that segment we did earlier. But yeah, I don't want to preempt that too much until I've got this one perfectly right. But that is looking very grand indeed. So yeah, I've built up the sides using plates because I need to come in one to support the road plates, because since we're going to have this one in the middle being a central reservation of sorts, keep knocking those off, because otherwise it's not going to have the right width of road, because you've got on a normal base plate is 32, you've got 6 on each side, so the roadway is essentially 20. So I figure if you've got a row of studs, and 2 rows of studs, that's 4, which leaves 16, which is 2 of these. So that is essentially what I figure we're going to have to do. And, well, cars will just have to go bobble, bobble, bobble with their tyres if they go over the central reservation. But that's fair enough if you ask me. That feels like it needs supporting, and that's because I have forgotten something. Yep, I deliberately made space for a cross beam. There we go. Perfect. That's going to be less wobbly now, hopefully. So let's attach that on there. It's not the biggest support, but it's not going to need to support any significant weight, just a car or two. Yeah, that's plenty strong enough. Yeah, it was getting a bit scarily unsupported as it was. So there we go. There it is with the deck on, and we can't see our rat anymore. That's rather annoying. I'll have to get a UV light, won't I, and give that a bit of a blast or something like that if I want it to see. No, that's not working at all. I think my batteries have run out on my UV torch. And then on the sides, I'm just going to add kind of a wall which will actually join up with the big tower itself on the end. And I've used some profile bricks to make it a bit more interesting, and some profile plates as well. And on the other side, I've done the same, but I've turned them to face us this time because, well, essentially, yeah, if I put them on that side, you wouldn't see them. And I thought it would look a bit nicer if they were facing us. And I don't have enough of these, so I've got some on order. But anyway, yeah, I need a few more of those to do the other side. And that's exactly where the statues will stand, if I do statues. So you can imagine this with the other bridges all behind, having 3 great big statues and on each side of knights in armour and people from the ancient history of the city of Brick, Nottingham. You know, you've got dozens of them on the real Charles Bridge, and it looks absolutely amazing. You know, photographs for all of the pedestrians and so on. And then on this side, because we'll have the big tower on this side, I think I'll just have kind of a swirl, and it'll come to where maybe we'll have some sort of pillar or something like that with maybe another statue on, or maybe we'll just have statues on there. Haven't really decided yet. But anyway, as for the bridge Mark 1, I think that looks pretty good, and I absolutely love the shape. Oh, and I love it from that angle as well. Seeing that glint of gold on the far end there, and then seeing these cross lattice sort of panel pieces look absolutely amazing. But my favourite bit is definitely the sort of icebreaker shape on the front there. A bit of a rock in the water as well. Yeah, that looks absolutely amazing. Very cool indeed. Wow. Yes. So, yeah, that should, if I've measured everything right, dovetail up with the road. It should also dovetail up with the other bit. We'll just have to do the rocks that join the 2 pieces together. And then the next section is relatively straightforward, being kind of flat So yeah, have I got time to start that today? I think I probably do. So yeah, let's get on with section 4 and then we can attach it to this lovely section 3. Fantastic. Alrighty, well the next section requires me to drop very slightly just by one plate, and I've got to get the depth exactly right so we end up with the guillotine matching the front of the subway station and so on, and it all dovetailing on the height exactly with the crocodile in that cross section and so on. So essentially this bit has got another waterfall, but it's very, very slight. It's only one plate, and we're actually using these curved slopes in trans clear and trans light blue, and this part will fit directly under that part, and if I can join them, will go like that and look like sort of more ripples in the stream as it slightly changes pitch. So I just need to add some more of my huge bag of tiles to join those pieces together. And I kind of like the idea I mentioned earlier of having a fish sort of jumping up the river to its spawning ground. So I've just added one in there in orange, and I did orange not because it's a goldfish, but because just so it's a real contrast, it stands out, because I did it with a silver one to start with and you could barely see it, so I like that. So that is our next section of river, and the reason why this is on a plate rather than a base plate as well is because I'm going to have one more of these 8x16s here, and then they are both combined going to be kind of the roof of the underwater or under river scene, effectively. I mean, it's going to look a bit boxy, I think. I don't know. But next time we're going to be doing the rock monsters scene with all the Canadian rock monsters in it, eating their crystals and so on in the underground level. Then we're going to have the under river level, which will again be a box, but hopefully with some rocks making it a lot more sort of natural and smooth and like a river cross-section, sort of river basin with plants and more fish in it and so on. And then this will be on top, the lid of that, which will marry up with, yeah, everything else that's at the right sea level. So that is the ultimate plan. So I think that'll look, well, maybe a bit boxy, but really good fun, I think, with all those different scenes. And it'd be a really good sort of first stab at doing what we're going to be doing across the entire front of the Lego room. Because if you think about when you walk into the Lego room, you've basically got a whole section there, then a gap, which I walk through at the moment, which ultimately I will be crawling through, and then another whole section there. And all of those units that everything's held up on has got a horizontal shelf in, and that entire first section, so about 4 meters wide and about, I don't know, 50 centimeters high, will be a massive underwater scene, and then underneath that the exact same in underground scene with rock monsters and drilling machines and goodness knows what else, whole armies of land that time forgot or something like that. So yeah, it'll be a bit of a microcosm of that. So I think I need to finish this, just joining these two pieces together, and then we'll save all of that cross section for part 2 of our river. But yeah, I think we've made really good progress today with lots of different waterfalls, lots of different bridges in 2 main sections, which I'm going to try and join together, at least temporarily, for the last shot of this video. But yeah, I think it's looking rather amazing. And well, we'll all have to cross our collective fingers to make sure that the installation of it in the city goes without a hitch, because yeah, I'm absolutely dreading that. Cool, right, I'll join these together, put those last tiles on, and then I'll try and join it all together so we can see what we've done in one shot. And here it all is, joined together. Looking rather fantastic. A delicious slice of river with our fish jumping and our Charles Bridge one with, is it the golden snitch? Is that what that is? That thing on the top? I've heard that term before. Anyway, the road deck, which removes from sight a lot of the interesting bits that are underneath here, like the glow-in-the-dark rat and them, but yeah, different angles, different views. This, I think, is my favourite bit. Kind of flat in the middle, but with all of the churn from what will be the water wheel, and this lovely waterfall. That looks absolutely great if you ask me. I just love the little rocks in the middle of it, really breaking it up. And do you know what? I think those rail bridges might even be my favourite, even though the other one's much more ornate. They're just very simple and very good looking. and a pair of them just makes it even better. And then we go all the way up to the lily at the end. Wow, that looks really good from that angle, which is the angle we'll be able to see. You won't be able to see all of this rubbish in multicoloured rainbow bricks supporting it all, but you can see roughly how, with these legs, it's going to fit on a kind of shelf under there before then having the subway rail line, which will probably be about here actually, so I'll probably have to move those feet before we get to the roof of that real cross-section level, which will be about, I'm going to say 12 studs deep. I have measured it, but I've forgotten. And that is going to be our cross-section next time of the underground and the underriver. So I think that's going to be absolutely great as well. How I'm going to display that all together, I've got no idea, because at least that bit will be self-supporting on the lower subway table. Anyway, do tell me which element of this is your favourite. Is it the Charles Bridge? Is it the waterfall? Or is it the railway bridges? Or maybe you're highly anticipating, as I am, the next couple of sections, because, yeah, those are going to be really, really funny, I think. Yeah, so what do we start off with? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stages to do, and we've done about 3.5 of them. So, yeah, I think that's pretty good going, actually. Yeah, next time we'll complete that session, and then I might just have all of the swearing and cursing that will be installing this thing not on video and to just show you the finished product. So that'll be the idea for next week. Cool. So as always, thank you very much for watching. It is appreciated. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome Lego videos. And if you value this channel, there are many ways in which you can support it. Do check out the links in the description below. On Wednesday, we'll be having a brick haul, where hopefully I'll be getting, amongst other things, absolutely tons of pieces for those central railway platforms in my main station, and a few other cool things, no doubt. And then next Monday, well, I think we'll have to continue on with this, because I want to get this done because it's cool, but I want to also get it done so I can get on with Major Oak Hill and get the Old Town started, because that's probably the most exciting bit of all the bits that I can move into next. And then, yeah, I've still got to empty the old Lego room before Christmas. Yeah, there's a lot for me to be getting on with, isn't there? So I better go now and say toodle pip, and until next time, see you! No, maybe it's the waterfall that's my favourite bit.